Welcome everybody to my fruitless envy escapism into computerized media. I am your host, Juniper Waverly Crow, and today we are doing episodes 2 of 7 Deadly Sins, and then episodes 2 and 3 of Gossip. I did that whole intro twice. First one had no volume. Didn't hit the right button. Thank you, Crap Shoes. I almost did a whole stream volumeless. I would have cried a lot, aggressively. The room would have been flooded. There would have been water damage on all of the floorboards. I would have lost my security deposit. So thank you, Crap Shoes. You saved my security deposit. Anyway, to the point, I'm reviewing a show that sucks. So we start off this episode. It's episode 2. Now, last episode, I ended the review with hope for the future. Not really, but I said I had hope. I lied. I lied right to you. I lied right to all of you that I had hope. But I'm pretending I have hope because I want to pretend I'm not being biased here. Hope that maybe it would get better and develop as it goes along. Because I absolutely hated episode 1. Absolute trash. Garbage. Piece of shit. Terrible. Disgusting. Villain. Criminal. Etc. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Crap Shoes. Maybe I will learn. Maybe I will learn to like aspects of this show. However, spoiler alert, I hated this episode too, so you will get at least approximately 32 and a half minutes of me bitching about this episode. Now, I ended last episode, and I thought it was a piece of shit, but I thought about it over the course of today while I was at my job. And I was thinking, well, I kind of hate the start of almost every shonen anime. And I'm like, One Piece started kind of mid and then got really fucking hype. The start of Hunter x Hunter I kind of really disliked, and Hunter x Hunter ended up getting really good. So I'm like, alright, well maybe this will get a little bit better. Maybe I'm being a little too fucking judgy over here. So I gave this one a little bit more of a shot. So it starts out, and it's Elizabeth escaping, which, thank God, there's at least some vague development on her, because she had no personality last episode. This doesn't do that. This doesn't give them a personality, mind you, but it's at least backstory of them escaping, and the fucking Holy Knights are invading the castle and presumably just fucking murdering their dad or kidnapping them. I'm not sure. I was distracted because the fucking door exploded. There's a whole ass fucking magic lightning thing with the door, and it just blows up at the end of the flashback. I forgot most of the dialogue after that happened. I mean, I know this is a magic show, but there hasn't really been a lot of magic shit so far, so I kind of forgot it was magic until there was a fucking door explosion. I don't really think that's per se a thing on the show's fault. I just want to point out I was really distracted by that fucking door shit it threw at me. We finally get the opening, because they didn't decide that we deserved it until this episode precisely. So I'm ready. This is going to be a hype opening. I thought wrong. I'm wrong a lot, like thinking this might be okay. So they gave us the opening. This opening is trash. It is boring as fuck. Well, it's not exactly trash as much as it's just boring and mid as hell. I will forget what this opening sounds like in a week. That's a lie. I lied right to you again. The thing you have learned from this review, more than 7 Deadly Sins is bad, is that I am a liar. So, to continue lying to you, I actually already forgot what this opening sounds like. I do not remember at all. It sounds like something. I know I didn't like it. I watched it an hour and a half ago, so that's pretty bad. But, you know, not my fault that basically every anime has a good opening, and you're one of the 12 that doesn't. I'm sorry that the bar's high and you can't jump over any bar that's fucking physically construable by mankind. But that's okay, though, because they decide to give a new outfit to Elizabeth, which, thank God, because I fucking hated her outfit in the first episode. It was disgusting. You gave her a fucking outfit that is one color fucking leotard shit. I don't know why they wore that. I mean, I guess they're in armor, right? So I guess maybe the idea is that they were really fucking hot in the suit of armor, so they wore this shitty looking leotard. That doesn't explain the sleeves, and that doesn't explain the leggings. So I guess maybe they were too overheated, so they wore the leotard, but then maybe they were too cold. Or maybe the armor rubbed them. I don't know. Either way, the outfit sucked, is the point. So they got her a new outfit, and the outfit's better. You can see in a lot of the slideshow. Ignore the fact that my fucking some of my computer screens on one of the slides. That's not important. What is important is that this outfit is an improvement. It has one weird sock thing going on. I don't know why they forgot to give her her other sock. I'm going to assume, because they give you a scene where Meliodas fucking gives her the outfit, and he gives her the outfit because he's a pervert, and he's like, this is the fucking sexy bar worker outfit, which Hawk is bitchy about. I don't really know why. Her other outfit was dramatically pervier than this. So this is less pervy, I think. So I don't really... This is at least maintaining stasis of pervy outfit. And she didn't seem embarrassed by other outfits, so honestly, this is a pretty fair assumption for an outfit. I'm just gonna assume fucking Melodious just lost the other thigh sock, because she just has the one. And I'm assuming he lost one of each shoe out of 2 different pairs of shoes, because he also gives them shoes in her exact size. Actually, that is impressive, because this is form-fitting as fuck. So the fact he had an outfit, her exact measurements, is impressive. There's only one personality trait of him so far, though, and that's that he's a pervert, so I am ready to believe he just has a closet of every single possible female body type that he's into. I'm just gonna assume that's the case. I'm 10 minutes into this. I have read one sentence off of my page of notes. This is terrible. I am the least concise bitch on Twitch. That's a lie. More lies. You're welcome. So, they get the new outfit, and they do another couple of perv jokes about the outfit. He flips her skirt. Hawk freaks out. She doesn't really seem that particularly offended. The joke's still not funny. It's just more moe shit. It's not really particularly done with zany animation or absolutely any comedic timing, so it mostly blends together like more dialogue, but not in a way where that feels like the bit, in a way where I feel like they forgot they wrote a bit here. That or they decided to not allot proper time for the bit to land. Then we get an actual scene I was interested in, because Elizabeth finally decides to ask Melodious, why the fuck are you a criminal? You're like a wanted criminal, and I forgot. And they were wondering what his severe crimes were. And then he says it's for stealing a bunch of panties, and they are shocked, and he's like, no, it's not. It's because I grubbed a bunch of tits, and then that wasn't either. It was 2 more pervert jokes to follow up the other classic moe shit pervert joke from exactly 11 seconds ago. So thank goodness, because I was like, Jesus Christ, I need at least 18 more, or I don't know what I'm watching. So thank God this anime has maintained its stasis of bad humor. This was actually better, though. I will give it some credit. These jokes were better than the joke 11 seconds ago, and better than the jokes of the last episode, and it is at least better. There was comedic timing and an attempt here. She legitimately got concerned about that being the crime, and then he very deadpan said, no, he lied. And they did it twice as a fake out. It was a dumb joke, but the comedic timing was actually decent. I will give it credit. It was decent. Led me to believe they were getting better on comedy. Unfortunately, I was immediately disappointed by every single other joke in the episode. They did not maintain this timing for more than 2 jokes. And that's okay, though, because we have gotten to the plot of the episode. The meat and potatoes. The reason we are here. And it took me 12 minutes to get here. I need to hurry up. This is terrible. I have the pacing of a toei anime. So, there's a magical sword stabbed into the floor. You see, this is important, because you see, they have taken their tavern that is on top of a giant green pig. This is not explained. And they have ridden to a town, and then the pig is reburrowed, placing their tavern next to the town, because I guess this is where they get a lot of their booze and random shit and supplies from. He likes this town. And you see, he is now dramatically offended, because you see his town has a sword stabbed in the middle of it. And now, you might be wondering why that's a big deal, but this is the biggest deal, because that magic sword is simultaneously preventing every single drop of water from existing. There's no water here. It's gone, because there's a sword here, so the water is not real. It's gone. It's barren. All the plants are dying. This is a travesty, not the grass. The grass is there. I guess the grass isn't affected by this. But the herbs in the river, gone. Dunzo Amore, because of sword. And none of the citizens can pull this sword out. Very problematic. We actually get, I forgot this. I'm glad I checked my notes. We get some important information that the mustache man, I guess his name was like Twiggo or some shit. I didn't even notice that in last episode. Thank goodness they told me. He wasn't a holy knight, and neither were his goons. And I mislabeled him and his goons as holy knights last episode. So thank goodness I was corrected. Because you see, I am foolish. And I misunderstood and gave such an important label to the wrong ne'er-do-wells. So they are not holy knights. They are pieces of shit, and they are no longer important. As Melodius kindly tells us, holy knights are real shit. Those guys were not real shit. Thank goodness for the clarification. This will be important later. Probably. So, an annoying kid shows up. And when I say annoying kid, I mean this kid is infuriating. This kid makes me want to rip off of my eyelids and find a large spoon to gouge out my eyes and then replace them with some other orb that is less efficient at seeing. I didn't do that, because that was another clever lie. I'm exaggerating, you see, because that's like at least half of my bits, this review, apparently. But that's okay, I'm allowed. It's anime. 90% of this is exaggerating and yelling anyway, right? It's shonen. The bar is low. For comedy. That's why I suck at jokes. But that's okay, because so does the show. And this bitch comes up. His name's fucking Mead. They named this kid Mead. I said I hated this name while watching it, but I think I would probably like this name if it was on, like, some weird chubby ogre bitch of some description. I don't know. I could probably learn to like it. I didn't learn to like it here, though, because Mead shows up and he's yelling about some shit and telling some lies about his friends, the Seven Deadly Sins, and how they're gonna come up and beat up the holy knights, and the villagers are like, what the fuck, stop your lying, and Mead's like, nah, I ain't lying, and they're like, literally all you do is lie. This is problematic. You have brought nothing but problems and shame to this village, including this fucking sword that has damaged our water supply. That's kind of a lot. You're like gonna cause like severe economic damage. This is like a big problem, my guy. And they throw rocks at him and shit, and he's like, fucking hell. And then Melodius is like, you said 7 deadly sins. I happen to know 6 of those guys. So he took them and ran to his tavern to ask him questions about that, because I don't know. I guess Melodius figured, I mean, fuck it, right? He's probably lying, but like, what if he knows, though? You know, I don't know. I guess that's what he assumed. I think he's just grasping at straws, honestly. This is also the first implication that he really has no grasp of where his other friends are. And he is looking for them. I have learned that based on this reaction he had to Mead and his blatant lies that he didn't realize were lies yet. So he takes him to the tavern, which is great, because this is just in time for another bad joke about their food. Because if you remember from last episode, if you saw my previous review, they were doing this ongoing bit where Melodius is a shitty cook, you see, and he makes food for his tavern, and then everybody hates it, and he doesn't tell them, and then he gives them the food, and then they're gross, and he's like, yeah, see, that's gross. So he did that bit again. You know, he made him food, gave it to him, and he's like, yeah, your food sucks. This had no comedic timing. It was more just dialogue delivered stoically. I don't know why they keep doing this bit. I don't think they're good at writing bits. There was hope earlier, because they delivered 2 generic pervert jokes pretty decent, pretty okay. They dropped the ball on this returning food joke. But that's okay, because we're getting actual dialogue of vague importance now, because fucking... We learned that the king... Sorry, I gotta backtrack here. Elizabeth is trying to calm down this kid and get him to open up, because they are telling him that when she would be lying and causing hijinks, it was because she wanted the attention from her dad. So maybe the reason he is lying and causing hijinks is because he just wants fucking attention. And he's like, nah-uh. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna tell you about the time I did it anyway. And she tells a bunch of fucking stories about her climbing a tree. It was a stupid story. But regardless, we do get some important information that the king isn't her real father. It's not elaborated on a lot, but it's at least more information on backstory for Elizabeth, which is good. I will not complain about that. So this story about free climbing and fake dads inspires Mead to open up and talk about how he is actually, in fact, lying for attention and lied about the 7 deadly sin thing. And he does this for attention because he has dead parents. And he's basically off-brand Usopp, is what I gathered from this. This is basically the Usopp explanation from One Piece. If you ever saw One Piece, we had a whole mind-numbingly long arc very early on where Usopp would lie every day about how pirates are coming to scare the villagers, and then be like, ha, got you, and then they'd be pissed and try to beat the shit out of him. And he's like, oh, thank God someone's paying attention to me. I haven't had the touch of a person since my mom died of pirate cancer and my dad ran away to be a pirate. So, you know, this kid's Usopp. But, you know, Usopp got like 13 to 20 episodes of build-up. And this kid's gotten 5 minutes. That's okay, though. I don't want to see more of him. Don't develop him more, please. Maybe I'll take the L and have a shitty character, because I don't want to see him on screen more. So I see him on screen more, and Mead explains that it is his fault that there is a sword damaging the water supply of the village because there was a holy knight, an actual holy knight, not like the guy I thought was a holy knight last episode, a real, legitimate, oh shit, that's a holy knight. And this guy came in the village and they gave him booze and he's like, yo, your booze sucks. And the kid's like, this guy is a dick. So he grabs a giant maggot and chucks it in the dude's beer. And the guy's like, dude, what the fuck? That's weird. I'm stealing your water for the rest of time so your entire village suffers economically until all of you die of famine. Because, you know, that's a reasonable response, because these are very, very reasonable people. So he throws a sword in there, does all that shit. So it's literally his fault that all of his people are probably going to die in a week. And, yeah, that's a whole ass thing. We then cut over, and so there's some dick-ass fucking knights that work for the Holy Knights. I'm presuming they're not Holy Knights. I'm presuming at this point, based on the dialogue, that Holy Knight is like high-tier ranking, and every other knight that is working for them does not get that. They're just like a knight that works for Holy Knights. That is what I have gathered. So there are some bitch-ass knights that are taxing them for every time they pull on the sword and taxing them for random shit. They're being dicks about it. They're terrible. Just straight up just fucking evil, cocky motherfuckers. Not likable in the slightest. Every villager is pissed because they're like, Jesus Christ, why did that kid fuck us over like this? This is a lot, gang. And then we have an actual, like, a little bit of reason, because the adults kind of get together and they're like, okay, listen, maybe we're being too hard on this kid. Like, yeah, he kind of fucked us over, but, like, that guy kind of deserved a maggot in his drink. He was a dick. Like, if he didn't do it, one of us probably would have done it, right? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. And they're like, we should probably be mad at, like, the guy who took our water, not the kid that made him mad, that encouraged him to take our water. And they're like, that makes sense. Let's work together to, like, get the sword out of the ground. But then they fail. Because, you see, this is the sword of a holy knight, placed into the ground by a holy knight. So they can't pull it out because they're not dummy strong enough, I guess. And there was a cool scene of them forgiving him, though. I kind of like that. That was a little bit more, like, adult reasoning than I was expecting from this anime, so I do appreciate that. So then we have Melodious stroll up, and then immediately just pull out the sword. There's not even, like, a build-up or a fake-out. He just walks up and just pulls it out like it's, like a third of a scene, basically, because fucking done. No shit, Melodious pulls it out. This could have been kind of a fun scene a little bit if they, like, had a little more build-up, but this episode is just kind of like go, 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 go. Like, my recap of this episode is making these events sound like they took longer, but this just felt like 5 minutes. That is the best and worst thing I will say about this, is that the pacing, really fast. if you were binge watching this, you would get through it really fucking fast, very easily, and not feel like you spent time on it. The problem is, it's going really fast, so there's absolutely nothing fucking developed in this fucking show. So he immediately pulls the swords out, and then they're like, oh shit, you pulled out the sword. They're like, thank you, thank goodness. Fucking God. So he solves all of their problems. Problem's over. Plot ended. Turns out all he had to do was just grab the sword the whole time. So I feel like all of this plot was kind of a fucking waste. That's okay though. I'm allowed to waste time sometimes, like watching this fucking show. So anyway, so then they all get inside the tavern and they're all celebrating because thank goodness our entire town isn't going to be in peril anymore. Thank goodness. And then they do another shitty sex joke because we didn't have enough moe bits for the episode. They have a quota to meet, gang. So they fucking have this shitty sex joke about it being Elizabeth's first time, and Melodious is being a pervert about it, trying to get her to repeat it, and she's like nervous, not because of any other reason outside she's nervous because it's actually her first time being a waitress. Whole bits that she doesn't understand how her phrasing is sexual, and Melodious is egging her on, trying to make it sound more sexual. It's almost like the bit from Steins Gate about how Christina accidentally was saying things sexual in a group of nerdy virgins who kept egging her on about it, except, you know, that bit kind of worked better because Christina actually got pissed at them because they're being fucking idiots. And Steins Gate is actually a good anime, but that joke sucked. Not funny, just kind of annoying. More Melodious being a pervert, and I've had my quota of this. I don't know how you managed to be a more annoying pervert than Sanji in One Piece, but you have managed to achieve it. Somehow you have managed to be more annoying than Sanji literally screaming at the screen. I don't know if it's because your jokes are just more poorly written, there's less timing, or if it's because Sanji, the other 50% of the time, is an endearing character. Probably the second one. Regardless, after this shitty bit, we then have a bunch of slapstick of her attempting to be a waitress and doing a bad job. This could have been funny if they would have done something zany and slapsticky about it, but it's not really that animated. They just didn't make it funny. Just wasn't that much movement. Somebody vaguely mentions a spooky forest. This is like one sense of dialogue, and then they rush past it. So we know the spooky forest will be important eventually. Foreshadowing. They say how it's spooky and no one should go there. Then we go back to the Holy Knights. The Holy Knight that originally put the sword in the ground. We go back to him, and he's basically chilling there, and they're like, yo, a guy pulled your sword out. It was probably a fluke. And he's like, me, a Holy Knight, putting a sword in the ground could be removed by a mere fluke. And they're like, no, you're right. He must be like OP or some shit. He's probably the protagonist. And he's like, oh, fuck the protagonist. You know what? Give me your spear, give me that javelin, and then this bitch throws it in the air with dialogue that is already immediately telling me that he's gonna fucking spike this bitch in the face from a billion yards away, just doing that. He has observation hockey or some shit. I don't fucking know, but he's doing a perfect toss to murder him from hundreds of miles away, presumably from his fucking tower, which probably would have been really cool. That's a fun power scaling thing. I don't know. That sounds fun. I've seen things done like that in One Piece that were done really well. Not to mention One Piece too much. It has 1,070-something chapters. So believe it or not, they've done fucking every other shonen thing at this point. So I kind of can't not think of a thing One Piece has done. So, you know, he throws that. I thought that was somewhat of a cool character trait. I don't think the betrayal was done exactly well. I think they could have done it better. I think a lot of it is honestly just hindered by the pacing being too fast, because I don't feel invested in any of what has happened so far. It's just felt like it's rushing past shit and nothing feels important yet. So maybe if this episode happened like a little bit further in, after I got time to maybe care about any of these characters, maybe then this cool feat would matter more. But that's okay, because then we go back to the fucking tavern, or at least outside of it, and Melodious has strolled out. Because he's like, oh, fuck. My spidey senses have told me that there is a javelin being thrown at me from hundreds of miles away from a tower somewhere. I don't know how. It is not yet explained. It will probably be explained at some point, but currently I have no clue why the fuck he knows this. He says so in vague dialogue to himself and not to anyone in particular. They have a scene that was at least a tiny bit funny. I chuckled a little bit, where Elizabeth was doing a whole emotional "you saved me" bullshit thing the whole time. Melodious is actually just talking about the fucking spear that he's looking for in the sky and is just ignoring all of her dialogue until like the last sentence. That was a little bit enjoyable. A little bit. Would really like some character development that's not bits, though, especially when a lot of these bits aren't good. But that's okay, because Javelin falls from the sky, Melodious fucking catches it, then flies like a billion fucking yards back into the town, crashing through a building, sliding the whole way, but you see, he is so dummy strong, he still is holding spear in hand, and then it turns out he also has the exact identical power as that Holy Knight guy, and throws the spear back hundreds and hundreds of yards, all the way back to the tower, in the castle, hundreds of yards away, which destroys the fucking tower, which is aggressive strength, and then lands like a couple of inches exactly next to this guy's head, exactly just grazing the cheek of this Holy Knight bitch that threw it in the first fucking place. Which, that was some fucking shonen bullshit. I think I would like that if maybe Melodious had more moxie and a little more cockiness to him, and if maybe there was more like banter and build up of these two characters. I think honestly I could have gotten into the scene, and that's kind of my problem honestly with this episode, is there's a lot of bits and pieces that I could see being good and endearing if there was more build up and if there was more proper dialogue to flesh out these characters in between all of this. But the pacing and the writing just made all of these moments just feel very dramatically flat. Nothing hit particularly well in any direction in this. It was all just very bland, and by the end of it, I'm like, well, it passed fast, but you left essentially zero impression in most directions. Now, I'm mad and I hate it. I hated every bit of this. This was trash. Garbage. Episode 2 was also garbage. Absolutely despised it. A lot of that, though, is because I'm analyzing it and trying to pay a lot of attention and write down what is happening in the plot. If I'm being real, if I would have watched this 10 years ago, I probably would have just forgotten the whole plot because so much of this hit so flat. I'm more just frustrated because I can see vague potential for things that might have been decent and then they just didn't. I don't know if the writers are incompetent or if they just don't care, but this failed to invoke a good emotional reaction from me for any of the events going on screen. It was bland, just wasn't fucking good. But anyway, that spooky forest they mentioned earlier, it's apparently the Forest of White Dreams. And they're like, well, shit, bitch can throw spears from wherever the fuck, just to wherever the fuck we're at. So maybe we should get the fuck out of here and go to that spooky forest because no one wants to go to the spooky forest. So they probably won't fuck with us there. And then Melodious is like, yeah, I probably have a friend there because, you know, they're probably, that makes sense for them to hide there. And so then we go there. And that's the end of the episode. It's trash. Not a fan. I'm hoping maybe next episode we get any kind of character development besides more perv jokes. Maybe some backstory on Melodious. Something to give me something to sink teeth into. But so far, this is just a shallow series of overdone shonen tropes and moe shit. None of which is being inventive on the tropes either. It's all just produced with very lazy visuals and very lazy animation. It feels like a cash grab. This feels like capitalism, the anime. It feels like this is an easy anime to make a lot of money off of people who don't care that hard about what they're watching. And we're just going to make some characters we can make some easy figurines of. I mean, which, given the amount of times I've heard Seven Deadly Sins mentioned, I guess you succeeded if that was your only goal. So, good on you for that one, I suppose.